Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and kids if you're watching. Welcome back to Mow Time, hosted by Evergreen Lawns and Gardens. My name is Ben, and today we are back for another video, another educational video today. You might have caught the previous one, which I did on how to mow like a pro. Well, this one is now the follow-up on how to brush cut or whip like a pro. So we are at a property today which I'm just going to sort of take you through the real basics of how to use your brush cutter and how to trim certain edges or fences or trees, etc. Properly to make them look like a pro, but also to give you those tips to help your finished product also to stand out and look good. So we're going to take you through some helpful tips today, just if you are new to brush cutting or whether you've been doing it for a while. But these little tips sort of help me out along the way, and just help out with your finished product to make it look the best it can be. Now, like anything, brush cutting takes time and practice to get used to on how to keep nice straight cut edges, and also it just takes time with the whipper, doing it regularly, and over time you'll build strength in your arms, and you'll also learn how to hold it correctly for cutting certain different styles of edging, and also just keep more control of your whipper, etc. So today we're going to take you through some helpful tips on how to how to use your brush cutter. So let's get into tip number one, and that is going to be how to properly hold your brush cutter. Alright guys, so tip number one is how to hold your brush cutter. So I have a straight shaft brush cutter with me today, which is basically all I use and all the professionals use. But again, these tips apply to whether you have a straight shaft brush cutter or whether you have a bent shaft one. Regardless, these tips are for any type of brush cutter you have. So the general first rule of thumb when holding a brush cutter is just, finding that comfort. One thing you can note on your brush cutter is you will be able to move the handle up and down depending how long your arms are and how tall you are. But I've got mine in a comfortable position here where I can walk around and I'm not reaching too far or bending my back over or anything like that. So you can always make sure you're concentrating on what you're doing, but making sure the handle is somewhere comfortable on your brush cutter. Now, when you buy something brand new from the dealer, the handle might not be in the right place for you, so don't just go off where the handle is when you buy it brand new. Make sure you adjust it to where it's most comfortable for you, because like I said, the further away the handle, the more you're having to bend over and the more your back will hurt if you are bending over too much while you are whipping. So this is the general standard way to hold your brush cutter if you're just doing sweeping motions to cut away grass or up against a fence line, just cutting along the fence. That's the general rule of thumb for holding it, just getting that nice comfortably weighted whipper as well. Now, if you're moving into cutting more edges along the concrete, then you need to start utilizing your handle, and that's why we have a bit of a bow on the handles, and that's to be able to shift the brush cutter around to certain angles and still have a good hold on the brush cutter regardless of the angle you're cutting. Now on mine, on some of the professional ones, you'll also have this side handle, which also is used for the same thing, either just for holding on to while slashing like so, or if you want to cut more of a horizontal edge and this is the style and the way you cut it, you can also utilize it to hang on to here. I never really use this. I don't think it's that important. I've had it on a number of brush cutters over the years and I never use it. Sometimes really I just snap it off because I actually run into it or it gets in the way or it hooks on something. So generally I just cut it off because I just use the loop handle the whole time for control of the brush cutter. So that's the general rule of thumb. So one of the tips is double check where your handle is on your bar. Make sure you adjust it until you find the comfy position for you to utilize your whipper. So that's step number one and tip number one as well. Now, when you move into cutting a vertical edge, we will touch on that now. We'll go through just what particular angles you want to hold it, and it also depends on the direction you are walking. So some people will hold it upside down and walk right to left, or some people will hold it on the opposite way and walk backwards and go left to right. So I'll take you through that now. And we can go through the different styles and ways of cutting a vertical hedge. Alright guys, so as I was talking about earlier, we're going to go through how to cut a vertical edge. Now, vertical edge is probably the most common edge cut by professionals because it does have that crisp, clean look, and it's pretty easy to cut. I grew up when I was very young learning to whip, cutting like a 45-degree edge, but I just did that because that's what my father did and that's what he taught me. So of course I copied and mimicked my dad, and I did 45-degree edges. But for years now, I've been doing the vertical edge, and that's generally, like I said, the best looking edging, for the best look sort of thing. And also you're not taking out more grass away from the area than what you need to. You're just letting it allows the grass to grow right up to the edge of the concrete or barrier that it is growing up next to. So we'll have a look at this place here. As you can see, I have a front footpath leading up to the front door, but we have an edge along here, and as you can see, this is a client that I come to regularly, so you can already be aware that it's cut vertically along here. But I'm just going to show you the couple of different ways you can cut and learn to cut your vertical edges. So yeah, so I'll take you through the first way that I learned growing up as a kid, and that was to walk backwards and cut your hedge, and I'll show you how we do that now. But yeah, this is one way to cut your vertical hedge. Okay. All right, so that was walking backwards, cutting a vertical edge. So that is one way to cut a vertical edge. Now do keep in mind, apologies, I should have had my safety glasses on and my my noise cancelling earbuds in, just to protect my ears, and my hat on, but I've left it over there and then I accidentally threw it on. Forgot to throw it on before I started filming. But anyway, so we'll pop them in soon. But anyway, that is the first way of cutting a vertical edge, and as you can see, it's quite neat and tidy, and it is a way I've done it for many years. Yeah, and it comes out super tidy. Now this is my favorite way to cut a vertical edge. I do see a lot of other professional mower blokes not do it that way. They will do it the next way that I'll show you, and that is sort of walking forward, not backwards. Now I prefer this way because the way the whipper is rotating, as you'll see in the video I showed you of the close-up shot of it, you'll see the way the whipper is rotating, it's flicking the way I'm walking. So that means it's pulling everything out of in here. See how it's nice and clean? There's no grass blades and everything or gunk left behind. It's flicking everything up out of there and getting rid of it and making a super clean edge. Now, the next one I'm about to show you is, like I said, walking forward, and you'll see what I mean by it's now flicking the stuff back into the edge, and that really annoys me. It doesn't create as clean an edge, and that's why I generally don't always do it that way, unless you've got no other choice and you're wedged up in a wall, or you can't walk backwards because of the particular side of the grassing edge it's on. So yeah, so I'll just show you this next way, which, you know, is people, I guess, enjoy it walking forwards and cutting the edge because the stuff is flicking away from them, where walking backwards you're flicking anything towards you into your legs, which is you know, a lot of people ask me regularly, why do you wear long pants as a mower guy working out in the heat? And that is for that reason. Anything that is flicked, because you don't always see what's in the grass. I've come across some pretty nasty things and I've had them stuck and jammed into my legs before and had to pull them out, back before I wore long pants. But now you'll see why professionals wear long pants, and that is to protect our shins and anything flying at them from the whipper. So yeah, so when you're walking backwards you will have things flying at you, but at the end of the day it does make a way cleaner cut, I believe, and it doesn't take as much out of the edge as well, so you're not left with this giant gap between your grass and the concrete or wherever you are edging. So yeah, so that's the first way, walking backwards, and now I'll show you the second way to be able to do it. Alright guys, so that was the second way to cut a vertical edge, and as you'll see in the close-up video I had of it, you can see the way the grass is flicking out of the brush cutter head. And now I'll show you what I'm talking about, as in when I was saying it's not the cleanest cutting edge, even though I see a lot of professionals do it. I don't think it's the cleanest way to cut a vertical edge. I've found over my experience in like 20 plus years of whipping that it's the neatest. But again, this is a good situation in where I was talking about where you might not be able to walk backwards and cut your hedge, because as you can see I don't have a lot of room to move and I've got this wall in my way, so I can't walk back and cut this hedge. So I mean, you do get still a clean cut, but you can also see it cuts a wider cut, allowing more gap between the concrete and the grass, which some people like. It just completely depends on your own preference, whether you like a big gap there or whether you like it to be nice and small, like the previous first tip I showed you. So yeah, so as you can see now, I'll just show you. You can see the remnants of grass left in the edge all the way along here. And that's why I dislike walking forwards when whipping. It just leaves, look, it just leaves all this that I'm pulling out of there, and it doesn't cut it very clean. And that's what I don't like about it. But again, I know probably a lot of guys do it because it means that whatever you're flicking out is not flicking at you. But yeah, not my personal choice, but again, it's a personal preference. Whatever you're most comfortable with, then by all means do it that way. But if you are sort of looking to start your own mowing business and want to get into trying to learn to do this professionally, then I recommend learning to do it both ways, because you will need to learn to do it both ways. For this instance, like I showed you, I'm hard up against a wall and I cannot walk backwards because the wall is in my way. Now with this way of cutting a vertical edge and walking forwards, it just means also too that you've got to spend time coming back with your blower and blowing out the edge, which is just more time consuming as well. So when you're a professional mower man who's trying to build the client base or have a lot of clients to do, then time is money, and time is, you know, you need a lot of time in the day to get your jobs done. And if you're having to stay back at jobs more and spend more time on things that are just not necessary, like blowing out the edging to tidying it up, then that is just time being wasted. So yeah, so that's the other second way of how to cut a vertical edge on with your brush cutter or your whipper. Yeah, so let's get on to tip number 3, and now I'm going to show you just the super basic way of cutting along your fence lines, such as this one. So this here is just the grass meets up against the fence, and this is just really basic brush cutting, but also can be stuffed up very easily. What I've probably learned over the years, really, and probably one of the top tips I could probably give you to become better at brush cutting is honestly strong arms. You're controlling a motorized machine that is turning a circular head at the end of the machine really quickly, and so it can easily kick on you, and if you're learning and you're new to this, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's not always easy to control, and you end up taking chunks out of your grass that you didn't, and obviously once you take that chunk out, you can't glue the grass blades back on. Once it's done, it's done. So yeah, but that's the big thing. Strong arms really help. Really strong forearms help, because the strength in your arms just decreases the kick on the whipper if you do something wrong. But like I said, with practice, keep getting out there weekly or fortnightly, keep doing your edging, keep practicing it, and eventually your arms will get stronger. Don't get me wrong, if you're starting off for the first time, you are going to have sore arms and they're going to get weak, but they will strengthen with time, and as you get stronger arms, you're able to control your brush cutter or whipper far better and hang on to it a lot better. And if you can do that, then that'll just decrease the big chunks you take out of your lawn in your edging. But again too, don't fret about that. Like hair, if you snip something wrong on your hair, or your hairdresser does, don't worry, it'll grow back, and grass is the same. It's a living cell thing. So if you do chunk a chunk out, don't stress, it'll come back, and then you can try again. But just keep practicing, hang in there, and you'll get used to it. But hopefully these little helpful tips I'm giving will help you on your way to cutting schmick edges. So yeah, so let's jump into the next tip, and like I said, that is just going to be cutting along this fence line. All right, so we'll go through that, and again, this is just what I was talking about in the first tip, about just doing a sweeping motion, making sure you're keeping your brush cutter level. And again, that comes back also to make sure you're having your handle on your brush cutter in the right position on your shaft, because this helps with that, balancing the whipper correctly, keeping it nice and flat so the head is flat on top of the grass, and a flat head creates a nice clean cut flat surface, and that's what you want. So I'll take you through that now, and we'll get into it. Now, one thing I will mention is just when you are doing that sort of edging, or if you're doing a bit of slashing, do keep in mind with your sort of bigger brush cutters, you will get a strap that hooks onto your hook here. And if you're doing big blocks of slashing, then I definitely recommend putting the strap on, because that just takes all the weight out of the whipper. Not that the whipper wind's very heavy, but if you're holding it for a long period of time, then it can get straining on the arms and the back, and that shoulder strap is very useful. But also, if you're just doing your house and you're whipping along a flat surface like I was just showing you in the video, then also a little tip I show you, this plastic guard, the cowling on your whipper, is not only there just to protect the heat there so you don't burn yourself, you can also utilize it as a resting point. So normally if I've got a long fencing or area to do that has just this flat cut grass up against, then I just rest my elbow. I balance it, so I rest my elbow on the machine like that, and it just sort of balances itself out, and it just makes it easier to hold. So do keep in mind, you can just rest your elbow on there, and trust me, you won't get burnt. Again, that's what the cowling is there for, to protect the exhaust and anything that's hot there. So yeah, you won't get burnt, and you'll just find a point on your whipper that you can just balance your arm there and cut along, and you'll find it a bit more comfortable. So that's, yeah, just another helpful tip as well for doing brush cutting along a fence line. Okay. All right guys, so the next tip I'm going to show you is how to cut around a tree. Now, over the years, I have had this question asked to me because a lot of people end up ring barking their tree and killing it, which is kind of a bit annoying for them. I've also picked up new clients over the years that also have had a mower guy previous come through, and they've been really upset and distraught because the previous mower guy or whoever was doing it had ring barked all their trees and either killed them off, or, I mean, the main thing when you ring bark a tree is you're opening up the tree and making it really susceptible to diseases and pests entering the tree, because you're whipping down at grass level or dirt level, and that's where a lot of the pests come from. So they just go straight into the tree, and you've just introduced pests and diseases to the tree, and that's generally what ends up killing it off. It isn't necessarily the mechanical whipping of the tree that kills the tree. That's not what kills it generally. As I said, it's introducing pests and diseases into the tree that can do that. So I'm going to take you through our next tip, which is how to whip around a tree. A very good one to know. So it's very simple, but I'll just show you what I do as a professional to whip around a tree so you're not damaging the tree. Now, really, what's best in this landscape environment, if you have a tree that is planted in a lawn, is to not allow the grass to grow up to the tree. There are multiple different things you can get, sort of tree bark protectors that you can put around the stump of the tree to stop your whipper from, or whoever's cutting your lawn, from ring barking the tree. And they're super cheap. You can get plastic ones for a couple of bucks from your local hardware store or Bunnings, and yeah, they just go into the ground. You can get some scissors and just cut away the grass around the tree, and put those protectors in, and that's ideal, and that just saves any concern about cutting up to the tree. Now, as I mentioned just then too, that is another option. If you want, it's a bit finicky, and obviously got to keep a pair of scissors on you while you're whipping. From a professional point of view, we just don't do that, because that is a big waste of valuable time, to keep scissors in your back pocket and have to stop and snip around a tree. But if you're at home and your home lawn is just what you are looking after, then you might have time to just get the scissors out and snip around the tree. And if you snip a good, 3-4 inches around the tree, you're giving yourself ample space with your whipper to not go anywhere near the base of the tree and ring bark it. So what I'm going to show you here is just a tree we have at a client's place. It is very small, but as you can see, the grass grows up to the base of the tree. Now, again, I'm going to recommend to this client to put something around the base here, and that'll just protect it a bit more. But for educational purposes today, I'm glad it's not on there, because I can show you just my super simple little tip to help you to brush cut up to a tree without damaging it to damaging it all. But again, this comes with practice and getting used to a brush cutter and knowing how to use it well, and once you do that, then yeah, things will come a little bit easier to you. So what I like to do, I'll show you in the video, but what I like to do, I'll just explain it first, is start out wide and come in. Don't just rush into your tree and go bang bang bang, and don't stand in one section and just move the brush cutter around the tree. That's the biggest no-no, and what generally most people do when cutting around a tree, and that is the easiest way to ring bark your tree. That's not what you want to do. So what you want to do is bring the head of your whipper in, have it revved up, and the whipper cord spinning, and cut in, and keep close eye on the grass blades cutting away. And once you see that your line is trimmed up to it and taken away just next to the tree, then you need to start walking around the tree and just holding that angle with your brush cutter around the tree. Sorry, I've got ants crawling all over me. yeah, hold your brush cutter there and move it around the tree. Now again, this comes with practice, so just keep practicing it. But if you feel like you just keep damaging the tree and you're not super confident with it, then like I said, go to our option B and go get yourself a little plastic container or some plastic to put around the base of the tree so you don't ring bark it. Or another common landscape I put in is just build a garden around it. Put a garden edging border around it and then soil around there and mulch it, and it looks way more landscaped and prettier. But if that's not what you want to do, then yeah, this is the little helpful tip to make sure you don't ring bark your tree. So I'll just shoot the video of me doing that now, and you can get an idea on what I'm talking about. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so yeah, so that is it. That's how you brush cut around your tree without ring barking it. I hope that little tip was helpful, and I'll just show you here now. As you can see, I've gone around it and the tree is not damaged whatsoever. So yeah, that's our next little tip on how to brush cut. Oh, pardon me. So yeah, that's a lot of ants. Yeah, sorry. So that's the next tip in how to brush cut. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you learned some tips on how to brush cut and whip. If you have any questions, of course leave them in the comments below and I'll get back to you. Now these are just super basic tips for a person learning to brush cut for the first time, and I hope they were helpful. There are sort of more in-depth things, but I just thought I'd keep it super basic today and not too many tips, just so you can take a number of the ones I've done on board today and get out in your lawn and practice them. So yeah, make sure you're wearing your ear protection and definitely eye protection. I've learnt over the years the times that I haven't worn my glasses and I've copped a rock or something in the eye, it kind of reminds you quickly how important it is to wear safety glasses when brush cutting. So yeah, do make sure you wear them, and if you are using a combustion engined whipper, then make sure you do wear your hearing aids, hearing protection, and your hearing aids as well if you need them, or just turn your hearing aids off. But yeah, make sure you put your hearing protection in as well, as that motor right next to your ear can be screaming pretty loud. If you do use battery operated equipment, then you beauty, that is far quieter and you don't necessarily need it, but you definitely still need your eye protection as well, because you are still flicking things with your whipper. Now I forgot to mention too earlier in the video, if you are using battery operated stuff, this doesn't change for you guys as well. A lot of people are changing to battery operated equipment, and I do have some reviews on the battery operated equipment I use coming up soon, and I'll also have some reviews on the new steel brush cutter you've just seen in the video. I'll be doing a review on that as well, the FS95R. But yeah, so I hope you learned some good tips today to help you out at home with your brush cutting and your edging. Now again, like everything, it takes practice, so just keep getting out there, keep working on your edging. If you can, hit the gym a little bit and try and do some weights on your arms, because again, like I said, having strong arms really helps with whipping as well, just in controlling the kick on your brush cutter when that happens. So yeah, anyway, I hope you're all staying well. I hope you're all staying safe as well through the COVID going on in the world. Again, make sure you're staying mentally and physically healthy. If you didn't catch my last video on how to mow like a pro, make sure you jump onto the channel and watch that one as well. Make sure you like any videos you do. Any feedback, of course, put it down in the comments, whether it's negative or positive. It is all taken on board and appreciated. To the new subscribers that jumped on, thank you so much for subscribing and joining me on this journey on learning about lawns lawns and gardens, and hopefully I am able to bring across to you what I've learned in my years of working in this industry, and hopefully I can bring that across to you guys and you can learn something along with me as well. But yeah, this is a journey we're all on, and you're obviously watching these videos because you are keen to learn more about your lawn and garden and how to do the basics, etc. So yeah, hopefully the channel is helping out. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell just to keep an eye on upcoming educational videos and just also chill out videos that I do as well. I try to keep it half-half. I like this channel to be a mix of just chill out, relaxing videos with landscaping in it, whether it be mowing, whether it be hedging, etc. But then I also like to do educational videos just because this is my passion and I really enjoy it. And I like to educate people on the knowledge I have and what I've learned and the little hidden tips and tricks I've learned over the years myself, and I like to pass them on to people so it assists them in producing a better quality lawn and a better quality garden at their own personal property or at a client's property of theirs. So yeah, I hope that's helped out, and we'll continue to keep doing these educational videos, and I hope you're really finding them helpful. But yeah, anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and take care, and we'll catch you in the next video.